Hello everyone and welcome to an episode of Catch Up Chaos, the last music-based video I'll be making for the year until my top 30. So yeah, it's been a while since I've done one of these. The last one was in May, I checked earlier, and we have 6 albums for this, and yeah, it's just basically the same as Music of the Week, but you know, with stuff a bit more further in the past, so let's go over it. We're kicking things off with a debut, and normally I would say the place where a band is from, but for this one it was a bit confusing. The band is called Calyx, spelled C-I-L-Y-X, and the album, the debut, was called Stay Gone. It came out back in February. However, when looking for it, all I could find was a London-based drum and bass musician, so yeah, if you're going to look for this, don't look for that one, look for this, like, charming trio who I can only presume are from America. But yeah, really strong and solid debut, you know, good melodic hardcore leaning pop punk, really nice alternative rock elements to it. I'm giving this one an A-. I was thoroughly charmed by this one. Really love a lot of the lyrics, how they feel more like a homegrown sort of story rather than like an overarching metaphor thing. But even then, it's still done really well. I love a lot of the pacing. It's another case of one of those albums that's really short at the end of the day, but it packs a lot into it, and honestly, they're just a really fun band to listen to, you know, for this being their first album, and, you know, I don't know how long they've been around before this. This is a really strong start, this is a really strong case to make, so I'd recommend, like, going and finding it for yourself. Really fun lyrics, really good production as well. I don't remember the label they have, I think it's called Salinas Records or something, who I don't know a lot about, but still, good label, good production, good everything, really, just a really good album, so yeah, find it, listen to it. Next up, we have another unique case of where a band's from, Frontierer with their third album, Oxidized. This is the first I've heard about them. Apparently they're from Scotland, but they have some American members in the band, so, you know, sort of a weirder version of As It Is, because, you know, that's a band that is sort of from Britain, but it has American members in it, and much like As It Is, you know, I really loved this album. I'm giving it an A+. Spoilers, the only A+ of the video. Really loved this one. It's really like crunching hardcore punk mathcore, metalcore stuff. Just absolutely crushes it on all fronts, you know, like, it has a lot of content to it as well, so it does have a lot to pad out, but it pads it out wonderfully. Really loved the production handled on it as well, and it was handled by the guitarist, and it honestly gave me some Converge vibes, because, you know, not just from that as well, because obviously Converge's guitarist Kurt Ballou does the production for that band, and I would look at member names, but this band has been around long enough to release 3 albums, and, you know, I don't know if they've changed members at any point, and with a band like this that only has one article on Wikipedia about their second album called Unloved, it's very difficult to find anything about them, but if you want to find out more about them, you know, or just listen to this album, then do that, because really solid lyrics, really solid instrumentation, just amazing in pretty much all the areas. Even the structuring is a little bit wonky, but I loved it, you know? It does take a bit of a while to get going, but when it kicks in, it kicks the fuck in. So, yes, listen to this one. Next, we actually have a place to go to now, Washington, D.C. for Origami Angel and their second album, Garmy Gang. Yes, it was purposefully named that, and he even has a sort of rap-leaning intro at the start as the first track. But this is not a rap group, you know, it's a sort of emo indie rock, well, good thing I've got the Wikipedia page on them up, sort of easycore-leaning pop-punk act. They've only been around for about 4 years, and they've released 2 albums, so, you know, they're getting the work in, and they've released a whole slew of EPs before this as well. And I, again, also really love this one. I'm giving this album an A-, and I would give it an A, but Pitchfork gave it a positive review, so I feel like I have to take something away from it. It's not the band's fault, it's not the album's fault, it's Pitchfork's fault, because fuck Pitchfork, honestly. Yeah, this is just 2 people, named Ryland Heege and Pat Doherty. Ryland does the guitar, bass and vocal work, and Pat does the drumming, and they both work really well together. I love how all the song titles are like cheeky puns and references, and they do squeeze in a lot of those. The lyrical content feels a bit like I've been transported back to my youth. In some of the worst ways, honestly, but I still found it charming. I couldn't wipe the smile off my face when listening to the album, you know? And there's a lot of songs that are really, really short, but it's good, it's just a fun time, and the album itself is, like, pretty good length as well. I feel like they could have trimmed some of the fat, but, you know, the album's still great. It's got really good production on it as well. Counterintuitive is a really good label to be on, so yeah, honestly, also might be worth scoping out if you're up for it, so I rate it personally. Next we go to New Jersey for an emo band. No, it's not Census Fail, it is Save Face with their second album, Another Kill for the Highlight Reel. So I've actually heard a couple of songs before this album came out, and oh, fuck, I just remembered I didn't do when these other albums came out. Frontier's album came out in October, Origami Angels came out in April. This one, by Safe Face, came out in October. And yeah, I like a good bit of New Jersey punk emo, and this is a really, really great example of that. I'm giving this album a B+. It does lean into a lot of the tropes, and it does it well, honestly. It does a really, really good job of it. And one of my favourite things is that the lead singer is trying a bit too much to emulate Gerard Way. I mean, a lot of this album sounds like it could have come off of 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, honestly, which is not a bad thing because that album rocks. But yeah, it's a very, very strange sort of thing that's happening with it, but I really enjoyed it, you know. It's got a really good classic throwback sound to the emo without any of the, like, aggressive hardcore stuff that would follow it, even when MCR was doing that, you know. This basically feels like that without as much of the heavy edge, and I'm okay with it, you know. Really good, like, pop-punk leaning emo is some of my favourite kind of emo, especially if it's from New Jersey, because they got that shit down. And it's, again, just a really fun album, as have most of these been so far, you know. Really like the style, really like the performance value as well, a lot of theatricality to the performances, and it just works well. And these guys have been around for almost a bloody decade. This is only the second album. You know what? Really glad that I listened to it when I did, because I am looking forward to whatever they drop next. Next up we go to San Diego. For CU Space K-Boy, yes, which is a reference to K-Boy Bebop, show I really want to watch, with their second album, The Remnants of Affliction. This one came out in November. These guys have only been around for about 5 years, and, you know, I do like a good bit of California emo hardcore stylings, and I'm giving this album an A-. Really love a lot of the lyrical content to it. It's got a really great storytelling concept, and I am a little bit biased towards it, because, biased in a good way, I mean, because the lead singer is trans, and you know, I'm not a trans person, but always nice to see trans pride in bands like this, especially considering how much it informs a lot of the style and sound. And God, these guys and girl go the fuck in with this. Yeah, this is a sound and style that just has a whole lot of edge to it. You know, it's got bite to it. It's got like sass, which is funny because for some reason one of the genres listed on Wikipedia is sasscore, which, you know, I thought would be, like, reserved for bands like Bro Job and things like that, and Gay for Johnny Depp. You know, I wasn't expecting it for CU Space Cowboy, considering that they don't seem to lean into the campiness of those two as much as as endearing as those two are, you know. But this was still a lot of fun for an album that's this heavy and talks about the subjects that it talks about in a really, really, like, dark but still compelling way. It's a very compelling album. It's a very good and well put together, well written album, well performed too, so yeah, another one worth checking out. Lastly, and somewhat weirdly appropriately considering that the band's letter starts with a Z, we go to Parkersburg, West Virginia for Zao and their 12th album, The Crimson Corridor. Now, these guys have been around for almost 30 bloody years, right? And they don't have a single original member left in them, although they've kept a really consistent lineup for a long time. And this is their first album in 5 years. So, you know, you can imagine that this one probably wanted to come out last year, but, you know, touring obligations probably, or that whole COVID thing, which is still around. I want it to not be around anymore. Still, having said that, this is really amazingly done doom metalcore stuff. Giving it a B+. You know, really good note to end the video on. I was going to say, no, really good note to end this whole series of albums on, honestly. I really like the performance aspect of the album. Again, you know, a little bit more on the theatrical side, and even though it's metalcore labelled, it doesn't really have the clean pop that a lot of metalcore typically has, and it gave me sort of more of a early Parkway Drive vibe, which sort of works because when I first looked this band up, I thought they were from Australia. They're not, but you know what? Still really good American metalcore, really solid, and you get the feeling that this is a band that's been around for this long because there's a lot of original ideas here, really good mixing of genres, really good production helping with that, really nicely paced out structuring even if the last song is over 10 minutes and good god, it feels like it. But honestly, it's still, you know, a really nicely well done album, and I would recommend giving it a spin. You know, really good production, really good songwriting, really dark, again, with the themes. And the band are, like, labelled as Christian, but they go for, like, the dark parts of the Bible. So, you know, I can always appreciate stuff like that. And maybe you will appreciate this album should you choose to listen to it, and I think you should choose to listen to it. And that is it for this. I really need to get started working on the top 30. My most recommended, honestly, actually all of them. You know, okay, yeah, because it's the only A+ one, Frontier is oxidized. You know, I'd probably say listen to that if you wanna. because, you know, it's not going to be an easy album to listen to, though. It took me a while to fully get it, and I only listened to it once, but, like, when I knew, I just knew it was going to be, like, a favourite of mine. So, yeah, spoilers, it is going to be in the top 30. Yeah, just so people know. There's one spoiler for you. I don't know where it'll place in the top 30, I just know it's going to be in the top 30 somewhere. And, yeah, also listen to just the rest of the albums that you might find something you liked. I like to think that people do if they watch these, you know. It's always fun to get that feedback from people. That will really just about do it for the video. The next thing I'll see you for, the next YouTube video will probably be the last fight of the night of the year, because the last UFC card of the year is this weekend. But I won't be doing as many videos. There might be a game review if I'm able to get one out, because I really need to write one and it's been a while. But for the most part, I'm just going to be working on my top 30 albums of the year and my top favourite UFC Fight of the Nights of the year. So, or just UFC fights to be less complicated. The next thing I can guarantee, though, is another Let's Play stream of Rain in Your Parade on Friday. The last one was a lot of fun, so I'm really looking forward to continuing with the game. And that'll about do it for the video. Yeah, I've told you everything you need to know. Please don't interrogate me any further. I'll see you all on Friday night, and as always, thank you for watching, you're awesome. Bye bye.